guys, this is pretty neat. This is by far the oldest car I've had in the garage. It's not the oldest car I've ever worked on, but definitely in the last probably 20 years. This is a 1947 Cadillac 62 Series, and it's a pretty neat car. Got a flat-head V8, and you know, it's just, it runs and drives. You know, it's not in terrific shape, but it's original as far as I can tell. It looks like it's all original. It's possible that at some point, you know, it got sprayed with some kind of paint, but for the most part, as far as I can tell, it's original. Pretty neat old car. It's kind of wild to drive. Got the huge steering wheel, you know, got the wide open bench seats. Huge amount of space in this thing, but you know, it's kind of weird to drive, especially with that big old steering wheel. It don't have power steering, you know, so it definitely is different than today's vehicles. Huge bench seat in the back, tons of space, tons of headroom. This is just a neat car. The reason it's here, a buddy of mine actually bought this car, and you know, I'm gonna do a few things to it mechanically. I know right off the bat, the main two issues are gonna be, it's got some kind of cooling issue. I'm not sure if the water pump's not working, or maybe there's a leak in the radiator or something. I'm not sure. But after you drive it for a while, you know, it starts getting hot, starts steaming. I don't know if there's a leak in the bottom of the radiator, or if it's this overflow tube going under there or what. I'm not sure, but I'm probably gonna take the radiator out, take a look at it, and kind of take a look at the water pump and stuff. I was kind of looking online, and I did find a water pump, and I found a radiator. So, and of course they're not cheap, so I'm just gonna have to see what we need, what we can do with this thing. I know I'm gonna change the spark plug. It sounds like it's got a dead cylinder, and you can tell these plugs are pretty old, you know, got some surface rust on them and stuff. So I'm gonna pull them out, take a look at them, and I'm betting it's got a fouled plug. But the other thing is we're going to be doing something with the carburetor, probably rebuilding it. But I'm going to take it apart and look at it. I'm pretty sure the booster valve is leaking. It's just one of those things where, you know, older cars, especially carburetor cars, once some of the seals and stuff start leaking in the carburetor, you know, the fuel leaks back, and you know, you got to pump it a whole bunch of times to get it to start, stuff like that. So we're going to see if we can make that a little bit better. If I can get this heavy hood picked up. This thing is something else, boy. Yeah. Oh. Wow. Even with the springs, I mean, that's probably, I'm gonna say about 70, 80 pounds, something like that. Anyway, we're gonna change the old spark plugs. I don't remember if I showed them last time, but you know, they need to be replaced. You can kind of tell because of the you know, the way that they are. So just gonna go ahead and yank these things out right quick. And you know, being that it's a flathead, it's gonna take me about 14 seconds, you know, change those out. And I'm gonna focus some attention back over here to the old carburetor. This clutch seems to, choke seems to not be working. And we got the spark plugs over here on this, you know, because it's a V8, and there's you know, 8 of them. So as far as the choke goes, there should be kind of like a spring mechanism in here. So I'm probably gonna take this little heat pipe off of here that somebody put plastic on. That was probably not the best idea, you know, because it gets hot. But I'm gonna get that stuff cleaned up, open this thing up. Maybe the spring's unwound, or maybe it's just a little dirty, you know. What I'm saying is, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to open it up and see, you know. And some of them you can clock this thing, you know, loosen these screws, kind of clock it, you know, to where it works a little bit better. So I don't know, we'll have to see. You know, basically that's what I'm saying. We're just gonna have to find out. So I think I'm gonna start with the spark plugs, and then I'm gonna move over to the choke. Because if the choke's working, you know, that might solve a lot of problems right there. I mean, it would be nice to have the booster valve also, but it might be a lot easier to start. And I also know that I'm gonna be adjusting on the timing, because once it's warmed up, I'm talking about, she won't hit a lick. So she's got a little too much timing is what I'm trying to say, once it's warmed up. So I'm gonna have to, you know, twist on that thing just a little bit. I can see it's got a new temperature sensor, you know, so I'm pretty sure that's tied into this ignition system, but it may not be. I'm not really sure. Probably not, but temperature gauge works. That's good. But anyway, I'm gonna have to adjust on the timing a little bit. But go ahead and get these spark plugs changed out. I got another radiator cap. Hopefully it'll reach all the way down in there. It's a little deeper than a normal one, so I'm hoping that it'll get down to that lip, and then we'll see what we got on that. Well, I got the spark plugs done, and of course the radiator cap don't fit. I'll show you the problem I'm running into. The reach on this thing is just nowhere close. I mean, you can just tell, you know, like you can't feel any pressure hitting the bottom of that thing. So it's probably at least 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. This one looks a little bit longer, but that's the one that it called for. I ordered it online, and you know, this one seems to be a little closer, but it still didn't seal. You could see as soon as it started warming up and running and stuff, you know, it was pushing coolant right out of the pipe, and it's not really building pressure. It's just not sealing. I mean, you can see there's no print on there at all from that lip in there. Of course, every time I try to wipe it off, it don't, because the humidity is like 4,000. But anyway, normally when you know, close this thing in here, you'll see some kind of line or mark or something. It's just not there, is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, got the new spark plugs in, so I'm gonna see if I can put a new seal, because the seal's completely gone on the original radiator cap. So I'm gonna see if I can maybe disassemble one of these a little bit. Maybe, you know, put the seals on the original radiator cap, see if I can get that to work. You know, it's gonna be interesting. Anyway, we're already way over budget with the new spark plugs, you know, so I gotta hurry up and get something going here. Here is the original radiator cap, or the one that came in the car. I can't say it's original, but you can clearly see a ring on there, you know, where it makes contact. So I popped the seal, you know, out of that old, I mean, it's a new one, but that 1.1 bar radiator cap, I got that seal out of there, and slid it up in there, put a new one right there, which is pretty easy to do actually. It's not really crimped, it's just kind of stretched in there. So seems like, you know, that might work right there. That's what I'm getting at. Well, it's getting serious now, fellas. I got 2 cameras out, so my GoPro 3 was already on a magnetic mount, so I figured why not just turn that bad boy on, bring it out here and see what happens, you know? Well, that tube is not very happy. I wonder if I could find an electric choke to go on this bad boy. So clearly somebody's been into this thing before because it's coming apart. So hopefully, maybe something's just locked up a little bit. We can get her loosened up. That would be nice. Oh yeah, I don't think the spring was hooked up at all. It didn't look like it was in there. Got some exhaust deposits in there. Basically what happens is the heat from the exhaust comes in here, warms this little coil spring up a little bit, and as it heats up it expands, so it releases the choke. So basically what we got to do is look at the choke blade up here and see. I guess basically what we got to do is put that thing in there, rotate it enough that it closes that clutch, and that moves freely, which is great. So it seems like everything's in good shape. Just need to set it up. Maybe somebody just didn't know how to set it. That would be nice. And these things are pretty adjustable because, back in the day, these cars weren't, they didn't, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess they just weren't very automatic, Newer cars, even before computers, they were, with electric chokes and stuff like that, they were just, they could handle a wider range of conditions and whatnot. So these things right here, you gotta, probably adjust on them, between summer and winter and stuff like that to really keep them running right. I always had to keep this topped off. They didn't have like recovery tanks or expansion tanks back then. There's a lot more maintenance on these old cars. So I'll show you the choke blade. That's this one right here. And as you can see with it fully released, it's open. And so what we want to do while it's cold is we want to put just enough load on this thing to close it. And I'll operate that a couple times, make sure. I might need to put a little spring on there, possibly. There's not really a spring on it, so that could be another problem. In fact, before I adjust this, let me go see if I can find a little carburetor spring. I'll be right back. Alright, I went and looked at the diagram, and I don't see a spring. So I'm going to see how she runs without one. Alright, bump the throttle to set the clutch. And like I said, we want just enough to close it. And then what we'll do is we'll start it up. And, we'll see how it acts. If it comes off a little too soon, we'll tighten up on it just a little bit. Other than that, I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it. And then once it's warmed up, because it starts okay when it's cold, but I want to take a little bit of timing out of it, so I'll have to even look and see how to do that. It looks pretty standard. I think I can just loosen a bolt and twist on her. So anyway, I know so little about these engines, I don't even know which way that distributor rotates. Some of them are clockwise, some are counterclockwise, so I'll look, see if I can find any arrows or anything on it. I can pretty much tell, I think, by the vacuum advance that it's going to be a clockwise. So, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think it's going to be a clockwise distributor. So, but anyway, I want to basically get her warmed up, you know, and then adjust on it once it's hot, because that's when we have, you know, you can really tell if it's dialed in, if it starts when it's hot. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to see how she starts right now with the choke closed, because, you know, it was never closed before. So we got the throttle stepped up right there. Everything seems to be lined up good. Basically, carbureted vehicle like this, you know, when you get in it, you want to push the accelerator all the way down to the floor and let off one time. And what that does is that bumps the idle up. There's like a little cam load plate thing down here. And, you know, when this has tension on it and it closes the clutch, basically when you push the throttle, it'll twist those two together. It'll close the clutch and it'll bump this little cam thing up in here, you know, to bump the idle up so it can warm up. And then after it's been running for a couple minutes, you can kind of bump the throttle a little bit and it'll idle down. So, we're just gonna see how it works. I'm gonna try to get in there and start it and see what happens. Alright, she's still not hitting, so I'm gonna check and see. It seems like maybe the fuel's leaking back somewhere. I don't see any leaking though, so I mean the bowl should be full right now. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna have to adjust. I may have to adjust the idle mixture screws a little bit, try it again. Like I said, the booster valve's not working, and that's one other thing when you set the choke, like I mentioned earlier. When you push the gas down that one time, you know, the accelerator pump will shoot some fuel into it at the same time, so it'll help it start. So without that accelerator pump working, you know, we're not getting that. So I guess I could probably squirt just a little bit down in there to simulate that and see if that gives it enough to kick off. If that don't, then I'll try to adjust the idle mixture screws a little bit. All right, I'm gonna try to replicate how much that thing would squirt in there, which is probably going to be about like that. So let's see if it hits now. Alright, now that there was a little bit of fuel in there, I can actually tell that that there's just too much timing in it altogether, because it's fighting itself trying to start. So I'm going to go ahead and try to take a little bit of timing out of it and see if we can get this thing to spin over a little better, because it, you know, once I put the fuel in there, I mean, you can really just feel the cylinders hitting, so the timing is way too retarded. So I said I always get that backwards, way too advanced. It's firing too soon is what I'm trying to say. Alright, I took roughly 4 degrees out of it, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to give her another snoot. And this plunger is like seized up. There we go. Just a little snoot, see what happens. About that. Need to bump the idle up a little bit more, but that's amazing. I didn't even have to touch the throttle. How about that? Just needed to adjust the timing a little bit. Might adjust it a little more, I don't know yet. I have to see what it does when it's hot, but I'm going to grab my pliers and pump the idle up a little bit. believe it's still running this low. I guess the belts are squealing a little bit. Yeah, it looks a little loose. I need to tighten up on that. Well, that idle was low. That sounds a lot better. Now, mind you, I hadn't even touched the throttle yet. I mean, we did shoot a little, you know, give her a little snoot of fuel. So that tells me that if we get that booster valve fixed, this thing's gonna be a good driver. Boy, look at this thing. Can y'all hear that? This must have been where we had a dead spark plug before. This is probably burning some oil and stuff out of one of them cylinders. That's the first time I've ever seen it smoke at all. So it's definitely a little bit of fuel. So hopefully we're good on that. But boy, this thing fired right up. That was impressive, if I do say so myself. I want to watch for that choke to open. This tube's starting to get a little warm. I don't know how good the flow's going to be on there because it's kind of been tack loaded back on there, so I'm probably going to end up having to probably cut that thing off, grind it down real good, drill it out, put a fitting or something in there and run a new line up there, because I'd be willing to bet that thing's probably clogged up from being spot welded. Tack welded or whatever. I do feel some heat getting up there, but I don't know if it's actually flowing through it. It may just be, you know, traveling through the metal. I'm not really sure. I guess if the choke works, you know, we won't mess with it, but we'll just have to see what it does. Carburetor's getting nice and cold. That's one thing I do like about carburetors. You see it sweating though? That's what they do. Yes, sir. Boy, that is something else. Let's see if that's clearing up back here. Oh yeah. You all hear that old flathead? Boy, that is something else. 1947. I guess I better grab my other camera. So this thing's starting to idle up a little bit now, which is a good indication that it's getting pretty warm. So what we should see happen is if I goose the throttle, the idle should drop down and that choke should flip open. Look at this thing sweating from the cold. Alright, here we go. Oh, don't touch that. That is the exhaust manifold. You see, it did drop down. The choke's not fully open yet. We probably still need to pull some timing out of this thing. The choke's pretty close to opening right there, I think. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just gonna start it again. I wasn't expecting it to stall out, to be honest with you. Let's see here. Alright. So I'm going to probably adjust the timing just a little bit more. Not much, just maybe another couple degrees. And I might tighten that choke up just a little bit. I'm not sure yet. I played around with the timing and the idle, adjusting, you know, mixture screws and all that good stuff. And now it starts up when it's hot, which is awesome. So that tells me that we got it pretty dialed in. You know, when it cools off maybe in the morning or something, you know, I'll try another cold start and see how well it does. You know, maybe that booster valve's working and I just can't hear it or something. I don't know. But I don't know for sure in the morning. So it's running pretty good. Now that it's been running for a while, it needs to idle down a little bit more. But I want to tighten the belts up a little bit. Coolant's not leaking anymore, so that's awesome. You know, used to as soon as you started it up, it would start bubbling around this neck and stuff. So I you know, sweated that thing back in there, and you know, I don't see any leaks, I don't see any bubbling or anything. So, and then with the new seal on this guy right here, you know, I think it's holding up. So, I'm gonna get that air filter put back on there. Maybe tighten these belts up a little bit, top the water off, and that might be about all we're gonna be doing up under the hood. So, you know, he just wanted to get it to where, you know, it was drivable. So that's kind of what we're doing. He wants to keep it as original as possible, I believe. So I'm gonna talk with him and see, you know, if he wants to do anything else. But I know he said something about a transmission leak, so we're gonna see if we can figure out how to get under this thing and see about the transmission leak. Might be the tail shaft housing seal, not sure, but I want to see if I can figure out a way to get under there and check that out. And I think we're gonna be done on this one. All right, so we're gonna take this thing around the neighborhood and just kind of show you guys what it's like. I'm gonna tell you right now, I couldn't hold the camera and do this at the same time. All right, so we got this parking brake, and it's in neutral right now. They didn't have park back then, so we got to put it in reverse. There we go. Brakes are real grabby because I guess it's got drums and it doesn't have power brakes or power steering. So, you know, a real man had to drive this car. Let me adjust my mirror, fellas. Alright, here we go. There is no mirror on the other side. You gotta. Oh, by the way, Brady is with me on the test drive. Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
You sleepy?
How you doing?
I'm fine.
So anyway, we're gonna try to back one out of here. Once you're moving a little bit, the steering's actually pretty cool. But if we're sitting still and trying to get in and out of a little tight parking spot, not so great. All right. So now we're gonna put it in drive. Woo. There's second gear. I don't want to die.
What happened?
This thing grabbed my pants. There's like a screw on the back of it, and it grabbed my zipper. See, that's why they outlawed these. They're very unsafe. You can take that off, probably.
Yeah.
Look, the speedometer
You're
works.
probably, we gotta work hard because I think the way off that way to check on you.
Probably. It's not bad. I think with a real good alignment, if somebody went through the suspension on this thing, you could take it down the highway. It's got a 4-speed auto in it, which is really surprising. You know, a lot of cars back then only had like 2-speed power glides and stuff in them, so pretty neat. But let's see if we can turn. I'm gonna use the knob. Maybe it won't catch on my pants that way. Let's see. I'm gonna put it in low gear. Pull this heel right here. Yeah, there we go. Maybe the knob can stay. I'm not sure. It hit third and fourth like immediately, just like third, fourth. But you see how kind of wobbly it feels?
Yeah, I felt it shift.
I would not take it on the highway. It needs an alignment, something fierce. I would imagine it hasn't really been, you know, driven
Yeah.
in a very long time. Probably just on and off a trailer or something along those lines. You know? I think once we work on it a little bit, you know, it'll come right back around. This is neat. This is way better than it was the first time I drove it.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes catching my piece again.
Really
I didn't really try to slide the seat back, but you know, I'm a big fella, and this big steering wheel does not really help me fit in the car. Yep, there goes catching my zipper again. There we go. How do you feel riding around in a 47 Cadillac, baby?
Well, we're getting eyes, so I guess that's a good thing. Everybody's like staring at it. What you think?
Something like that. Look, you see this? Get a close up of that. This is ridiculous. I'm having to hold my zipper down. Whew. Alright, let me back her down just a little bit. I got my little parking stop up there, which is actually a little stump, but that's what I call my parking stop. Listen to that thing purr. I hear it.
Sounds about better when you put the new spark plugs in it.
Oh yeah. I put new spark plugs in it, tuned the carburetor, adjusted the clutch.
Didn't you get a belt or something?
Watch this. Here. Before, when it was hot, you could not restart it, period. It had to sit for like an hour. Now what? I just turned it off.
Whoa. This thing would go at 110.
I bet with a good alignment it would. I bet you it would. You know?
I don't want to be on camera.
I'm just saying, if you had a good alignment and you got her out on the interstate and opened her up, I think she'd do every bit of 110. It's probably smooth as butter. You know, you just float down the road. You know?
Yeah. This is a black caddy with the, convertible top. Oh, I would drive it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Remember the old saying? You know, for the boxers, it's a float like a Cadillac, sting like a bee.
Yep, I'm a Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know it.
Yeah, I used to watch Muhammad Ali, Fox and stuff. Yeah.
That was before my time, but I'm glad you were there for that.
I wasn't. I just watched boxing.
Ugh. Well, there's your test drive.
Now I'm gonna start my baby.
We almost died 4 times because of my zipper. Cold start footage for the video. Might as well walk back here and hear it now. Oh, there it goes. Yep, she's still sounding as good as ever. Let me tilt the microphone into that for you, alright? Well, I'll see you when you get back. It is the next morning, and like I said, I wanted to let this thing sit overnight. It didn't really get cool. I think it's probably, shoot, I don't know for sure, but it's probably at least 60, probably 65 degrees out here. So, I mean, the engine's cooled down fully, but it's not like cold outside. So, anyway, I want to see what this thing does. Now, I'll remind you, you used to when you went to start this thing up. I mean, you just had to just keep turning the engine over and just pump the gas as fast as you could. And you'd probably have to pump it about 50 times. I'm not exaggerating. So, let's see what we got now. I'm gonna push the throttle all the way down to set the choke. And then we'll see if it starts up in neutral. Holy smokes, that was insane. Look at that. That was way better than anticipated. I'm actually really impressed by that. This is pretty sweet. I mean, there wasn't no trickery, guys. I mean, you saw what I did. I pushed the throttle down to set the clutch, the choke, and I hit the button. That was it. I mean, it fired right up, so that is awesome. I did notice that the throttle pedal stuck down when I pushed it all the way down, so I might see about the throttle return spring. I've never done that when I was driving it, but I pushed it down pretty hard to make sure I pushed it all the way down, so it could just be, I don't know. I'm gonna check it out though, make sure that's not an issue. But anyway, that's awesome. I just figured you guys might like a little, cold start after all that work we did. She sounds good, buddy. Let me turn the microphone towards the exhaust. I mean, that's just crazy. Oh, Chevy Flat-head V8. Well, you know, Cadillac, but whatever. That's pretty awesome. Super duper duper cool.